in decades. She never left the house. And she was so pale, you could see every vein in her body. And, you know, I had a lot of shame because it was, you know, they were, Gordo, Gordo, and they were yelling all this stuff. And we sat down in the cab, and the cab just, like, all weighed to one side. And she just turned to me and she said, "Do you want to know why I'm fat?" And she told me the story. Leverage. Before the burglar raped my grandmother, he shoved her down a flight of stairs. Her ankle turned, hip unhitched. There was no getting up, no hope for flight. She told me while he was on top of her, she stared up at the clock from the kitchen floor, watched each minute crawl by like a half-smashed bug. She thought of the school bus emptying her sons into the yard, the sandwiches she had no time to make. When the man pulled his pants back up, she noticed the tattoo on his forearm, Mother, framed in a heart. "My sons will be home soon," she explained. "How many?" 5. And what she told me next, I could never understand. Not until I'd lived long enough in this temporary body. Not until I had 5 children of my own. How, when the man held out his hand, she took it. How neither of them spoke as she leaned all of her weight onto her one good foot. The two of them standing in the kitchen, spreading butter onto bread. One more time with feeling. When I was 19, I stole a gun. The drug dealer was tweaking out of her mind, didn't see me pull it from her kitchen cupboard. As the California sun sank below the hills of Saddleback, I haunted your neighborhood, screaming your doomed name. I was ready, a death wish Romeo, standing beneath your bedroom window, had to split when a neighbor threatened to call the cops. I never told you this story, not because I regret what I did, was prepared to do, those 40 minutes hunting down the front of your skull. Back then I wasn't shit, just electrified violence, all blood, piss, and safety pins, teen mom with a face tattoo and no address. You had parents, freckles, a 3-story house, and I'd listen to you spit your angsty fiction while I slept in parks and ate from garbage cans. When I found out you were trying to mess with the man I loved, I felt my insides darken. Cursed any well-fed royalty disguised as grit. I was tired of your forgery, wanted all the black-eyed wealth to myself. Bang, you're dead. And I'd like to say, I've put those days behind me, that I'm better now. Never fall into the steel weight daydream of a gun's hard lesson. 1995. Half my life ago still. Every time you call me up to groan about your latest ex-soulmate or another DUI, one more kid taken from you by the state, I want to tell you about the only night you survived, when something told you, go to sleep, and you did. Crashed hard, with a bitch like me and a pistol at the ready, birds still singing in the half daylight. I'll say it here now. It was the first time in my miserable life any God was on my side. Wait for Gilbert. Then you interrupted winter with your own. During chocolate cake and Jimmy Stewart, I got the news. It was Christmas Eve. I'd already blown out my birthday candles, spent the only wish. Couldn't stay on the phone long. No room left in me for all that shaming language, stupid, selfish, waste. Over time, your death became the accident. Too drunk to notice how many pills you'd already taken. No need to remark on the tragedies of our lineage. What was in the blood stayed. Your shot liver, voodooed arms, all that dark honey, just bad luck. Gilbert, my sweetest uncle, the saddest vato on the block. I remember the summer you weren't locked up, still living with Grandma and Grandpa. Your P.O. said it was the worst place to stay clean. It still feels like a dream. The night you planted yourself on the living room couch, loaded on whiskey and H, and you strummed your guitar, each song pulling from you like something stolen. And Grandma, that shotgun doppelganger, scorched the air with spite, but you closed your eyes and sang until your throat became a wounded calf. And then, as if to challenge every muscle of grief flexed in the room, you laid the guitar across the coffee table and called out for her. I'll never forget how each mama tore its way down from the ceiling and burrowed deep into the hardwood. And she stood there in the doorway, you reaching out for her as if beckoned by a cursed spindle. You never loved us, did you, Mama? Why didn't you ever love us? You asked, in the greenest voice ever invented, as the starless night caved in on itself. Your Mama refused to say a single word, just floated into the kitchen and turned the radio on. That bitch.